So I was watching a live stream by Tenet Media in which Lauren Chen, one of the OGs in the game, was debating, I believe, just Pearly things and some other chicks about Steven Crowder's relationship and Trad wife and all this nonsense. Like, I don't have anything against Trad. I really don't. I don't have a problem with Trad life, Trad wife, Trad anything. My problem is when conservatives demand that women basically sell their souls in the name of tradition. Your husband hits you with a spinning elbow. You could probably just dodge. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it ain't that serious. You know, your husband's psychologically and emotionally abusing you? Well, that's not even real. Oh, don't believe they said that? Watch. This was bro, I was just sitting there watching it wait. I don't remember what I was waiting on. I was waiting on something. It was like last weekend. I was waiting for something to start or something. Maybe it's someone else's. I don't know. And as I'm watching this, I hear them say emotional abuse isn't real. I look up at the screen. I'm like, bro, what? So we about to, bro. I was supposed to talk about this last week, but we're going to get to it right now, bro.
And all of the conservatives were super willing to throw him under the bus the last year, make a ton of money off of it, except for Tim.
Was I the only one?
You were the only one who I thought was fair. I really did. I have never been so disappointed in conservatives because...
Well, there with Steven, and I think with Steven, like, if it were just his divorce, wouldn't have talked about it, but he is someone who's in this industry who has a pattern of basically blowing up personal relationships. And I think
right, but that doesn't make him an abuser, right? You can be an asshole.
Yeah, I mean, if you're constantly blowing up personal relationships, you're probably, I'm not going to say it's evidence that you're abusive, but you could be abusive. If you're constantly blowing up relationships, you're probably not just being an asshole. But it's interesting to me that Pearl is so determined to defend Steven Crowder because if anyone's watched that video, the way Steven Crowder talks to his wife is inappropriate. For any man to speak to his pregnant wife in that way is disgusting. And for Pearl to be defending that simply because Steven Crowder's wife said, well, he's not abusive, it's too late for that. You can't just sit there and say, Your Honor, I didn't shoot that guy. We have you on video shooting the guy. It's too late. You could shoot the guy. And he could sit there and say, Your Honor, he didn't actually shoot me. Your victim could come out and defend you and say, Your Honor, I swear he didn't shoot me. It doesn't matter what the victim says. We know you shot him. We see you on camera. The fact that Pearl thinks, well, his wife said he wasn't abusive. Okay, and? So what?
But that doesn't make you abusive.
I definitely don't think he's like physically abusive or anything like that.
Well, yeah, but you alluded that he was like you said that he was abusing his wife in that clip. So if she has a clip that says, hey, he's not, I would think, oh, wow, all the conservatives, you guys would be the first to report, except for Tim. He was the only one who did. And it's like, you were willing to make video.
Well, if are you asking like the ring cam footage about him?
No, it was video of his wife in court, and she said he was not abusive. This is on camera. The nanny also testified, not abusive.
I mean, that's perfectly fine if they say he's not abusive, but it's like we saw the man be emotionally abusive on video. The man asked his wife to handle a medicine that could cause harm to the baby for the dogs. The medicine was for the dogs, and her handling of it, if it was absorbed by her skin, could harm the baby. This man, Steven Crowder, told her to put on gloves. Put on gloves. And she said, look, I'm not doing it. It could harm the baby. And he starts going on this rant about how she doesn't love him, and she's not a good wife, and she's not being disciplined, and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, look, if your wife is telling you, look, husband, this medicine could harm our baby. I'm not handling it. I know you're angry. I know you're upset. I know you're tired. I know blah, blah, blah. But I'm not risking this. If you don't want to walk the dog, then the dogs won't be walked. But at the end of the day, the priority is the baby. The baby should come first over a dog every single time. I don't understand how people can sit there and watch that footage and think that Steven Crowder's behavior in that clip was okay. I'm not saying the dude is some supervillain. We haven't seen everything in their marriage, but that particular clip was just ridiculously wrong. And for any man to think that it's appropriate to speak to a spouse, be it male or female in that way, is just, it's disgusting.
Video specifically was about the nanny footage, which to tell your spouse that you do not love them, I do think that's, emotionally abusive.
I wouldn't say that's emotionally abusive. No. And because he says you do not show me love, and what he was referring to in the video, if you really listen, pay attention, and there was a clip cut out, was that
Pearl is so pressed to defend Steven.
She was not showing him love because she didn't listen to him. And it's like trad wives, why wasn't the question, why didn't you walk the dog like you were told?
Yeah.
But that's been answered. That's been answered. Look up any article on this clip. The reason why she didn't want to walk the dog was because she would have to handle medicine that could harm the baby. The end. If my wife said, "Hey babe, that medicine right there, if I handle that can harm the baby," even if I'm on my last leg, the baby comes first. I will walk the dogs. Like, I would do that. I think most men would do that. This idea of, oh, well, just put on some gloves, which is what Steven Crowder told her to do. Go put on some gloves. And he's, you know, if you want to be a good wife, you got to be disciplined and you got to listen to me. And if you love me, you don't love me because you won't do what I tell you to do. And you're not a respectful wife. And it's like, look, your wife just told you that if she handles this medicine, it could harm the baby. Why are you levying love and relationships and discipline and all this other type of language, charged language against your wife to get her to do what you want her to do? If the medicine can harm the baby, the end, that's the end of the conversation. That is the end of the conversation, full stop. Why is this conversation persisting any further? And for Pearl to sit there and say, well, why didn't you walk the dog? If you looked up the situation, you'd know why she didn't walk the dog. I'm sick and tired of people not using Google in 2024.
Again, there's a lot to do with the whole Steven Crowder situation that I'm just not going to comment on, publicly.
You were willing to publicly make video after video after video
about what was publicly available.
And so is the nanny footage. So is why don't?
Quick question. Isn't it confirmed that I could be wrong about this, that Crowder's wife deleted a bunch of footage from
over 100. That's important, you would think.
Yeah, that's conservatives. So actually, Justice Warrior did this whole breakdown about it. That's something that Crowder's team is alleging, but I don't know if the court itself has verified or backed it up at this point.
And I'll tell you why I knew it was full of shit when I first heard it, because I've interviewed so many men that have gone through the same exact thing. And what women do is they poison the well for years. So they'll go around to all of his friends and drop little tidbits of abuse. Now, the common ones are emotional abuse, physical abuse. Some throw in the pedo accusation. That's devastating to men. That's a devastating one. They'll say it about their family. So they'll do this for years. Then when they come out and say he's abusive, they have all of these people ready to back them up in white knight. And then
Pearl, we have footage, Pearl. There's footage. Like, what's the point of you doing this? We can see the man on camera. I'm not saying the man's wife wasn't, poisoning the well. I'm not saying that. But if you're arguing that because she came out and publicly said he wasn't abusive, we saw the video. This is ridiculous.
Typically what you get is an out of context clip that they throw out there. And so I knew what was happening when I first saw the video.
And you can tell from her Twitter that she's obviously a crazy woman. And I personally think emotional abuse is a myth. I know you said
I agree with you
seem to have a different perspective. Would you think emotional abuse is a valid reason to have a divorce if you support no fault divorce?
No, but it.
Oh my God! All of these conservative trad women are insane. Emotional abuse is not a reason to have a divorce. Try looking your family members in. Okay. I dare any of these trad women who are in an emotionally abusive relationship, record yourself. Record the entire thing and share it with your family and friends and see what they say. See how quickly everyone that knows and loves you starts pressuring you to leave that relationship. The idea that emotional abuse cannot cause mental illnesses early or late in life is ridiculous. It can. It absolutely can. It's crazy how because Steven Crowder's not, doing spinning back kicks on his pregnant wife, it's not that big of a deal. So y'all think that kids at school want to come home to their parents verbally fighting every night and calling one another the craziest names in the book, gaslighting, manipulating. Y'all think that's a safe environment for the home. Furthermore, I can only imagine that if a partner feels comfortable verbally abusing, psychologically abusing their partner, I can only imagine where they're finally going to get comfortable doing it to the children. How often do you hear of stories where someone's like, yeah, my dad was or my mom or my dad was emotionally abusive to my other parent, but never to me? It's usually not the case. Usually it spills over eventually. Eventually the abuse spills over. And the fact that these women, these three women can sit there and say emotional abuse is a myth. I hope they're saying it because they've never experienced it. Emotional abuse is real. And I'm sick and tired of conservatives appealing to the lowest common denominator of men. Y'all do, you know what's funny? is that I think studies show that the main form of abuse that women like to engage in and use against the people they have issues with is emotional abuse, right? Men talk all about how their wives psychologically abuse them all the time. Women are more likely to utilize psychological abuse than men from what I've read. I bet if it was a conversation about how women psychologically abuse their husbands, they wouldn't be sitting there saying, you know, emotional abuse is not a real thing. Like, oh my God. Like, the insanity that it takes to give this take. The damage of brain cells, the decaying of reason and logic it must take to formulate something like... And Lauren Chen is folding to the pressure here. Lauren Chen, stand your fucking business, nigga. Like, what the fuck? Bruh, these niggas are sitting there telling you that emotional abuse isn't real. We all saw the clip. Steven Crowder was out of line in that clip. I'm not going to sit here and act like I'm not going to act like I know that full relationship. I'm not going to sit there and act like Steven Crowder was abusive the entire time in their relationship. I don't know. But in that clip, he was out of line. And for y'all to sit there and act like that's an appropriate way for any partner to speak to, if she was speaking to him that way, as a pregnant woman, manipulating and gaslighting him in that way, I would say, hey, look, G, that's wrong. That's absolutely wrong for you to be speaking to your partner in that way. I don't care if it's female to male, male to female, pause. That's wrong. For them to sit there and say that emotional abuse is not a real thing is absolutely insane. But it goes to show who these people appeal to. They appeal to men that struggle with women, so much so that they need women to have no rights for them to succeed. Women need to stop having careers. Women need to stop having jobs. Women need to stay home at all times. What's another one? Emotional abuse isn't real, so that when you start abusing your wife, she can't leave you. She can't leave you. Well, it's not physical. I'm not hitting her with the UFC combos. It's only emotional. So, that's what I'm seeing right now. I'm seeing a weak breed of men being catered to by women who probably would never even date them. Y'all wouldn't even date these dudes. And yet y'all sit there and talk about emotional abuse isn't a thing. Really? Like, if y'all's daughter placed a hidden camera in the crib and recorded all the emotional abuse, y'all would sit there and say, honey, you gotta stay for the sake of the family. What family? If the head of the family, the man, is so emotionally and psychologically unstable that he can't stop himself from torturing his wife, there is no family. Conversation over. This nonsense, this foolishness only exists for the sole purpose of soothing the egos of men. That's it. As a man, it should disgust you that a woman, like, you should not as a man feel as though, yeah, like, if I'm emotionally abusive to my chick, she should stay. Like, gee, you should be not only should you be above that, you should be above needing your chick to stay when you're acting up. Like, this, I can't even, like, what the fuck is this conversation? What is this? Emotional abuse is a myth. These are the lies y'all tell these men to get them to keep tuning into y'all. Do y'all understand how beta a man has to be? I can't believe I'm using that word, but this conversation is already on the fringes of insanity, so be it. Do you realize how beta a nigga has to be in order for him to be like, yeah, emotional abuse doesn't exist? The only kind of men that agree to that are the kind of men who can't stop themselves from being this way toward their women. So they need the culture around them to shame that woman into staying in the relationship so he can have access to sex, reproduction, and a partner. That's all this is. A good man, a good honorable man, shouldn't have to be told to not abuse his wife, number one. Number two, a good and honorable man, if society told him, hey, you can, if you want to, like, psychologically terrorize your wife, that's fine. A good man would say, no, it's not. And no, not only is it not okay, I won't be participating. Please and thank you. That's what real niggas would do. A real man would never entertain that. But y'all are over there appealing to insane individuals. Emotional abuse ain't real. And for Lauren Chen to be sitting there like, yeah, I don't think that's grounds for the ending of a relationship. Are y'all crazy? What if you give your wife a mental illness? Which is possible. Then what? What if she ends up with permanent anxiety disorder? What if you psychologically ruin your wife's life? It's all good then? Like, what is happening here?
Something can be unacceptable behavior, though, still within a marriage. Absolutely.
But who are you to?
Then okay, so emotional abuse is unacceptable behavior. Just say that. Stop trying to, like, Lauren Chen, stand your ground. Like, stop letting these niggas step on you. Like, say, do something. Unacceptable behavior in a marriage. Okay, emotional abuse. Bring them together. Fight back. Why you getting jumped? She is getting jumped. So, I to be fair to her, she don't know what to do because she getting jumped. She probably like, oh, like, they coming at me like, but damn, like, listen to these fools.
Tell a man how to speak to his wife in his house. Isn't that out of order?
I mean, you do that all the time. You call other.
Why is Pearl looking at her like she about to fight? Like, why are you telling a man what to do in this house? Isn't that out of order? So if he was hitting her with Alexander Gustafsson spinning back elbows, if he was hitting her with Demetrius Johnson flying knees, because it's happening in the confines of his household, it's none of our business as a society. I want y'all to realize these women are appealing to the lowest men possible. You shouldn't need society to tell you as a man, hey, by the way, that black eye you gave your wife, not cool. Like, the fact that these niggas are, please tell us we can do whatever we want to our wives. That's how you know these dudes, like, they're psychologically lost. Oh, a psychological abuse ain't real. Who are you to tell a man what to do in his household? Haven't we evolved past this? Have we not?
And simps all the time.
But I don't tell them how to talk to their wife. That's your business.
I don't tell them how to talk to their wife. This, like, gee, there is an inappropriate way to speak to your wife, Pearl. Just because the man is the leader of the home does not mean he gets to speak to the people under him in any kind of way. That's not how leaders behave. That's not how men act. It's funny because women go on and on about women can't teach a man how to be a man. These red pill women say it all the time. And it's like, y'all are kind of starting to prove it true. Maybe you can't, because y'all seem to think that it's appropriate for a man to do whatever he wants within the confines of his home. No, it absolutely is not. And just because you are the leader of the household does not give you unfettered control to rain all type of evil and demonic activity on your household as you so please. That is not true.
Absolutely not true.
Okay,
there are
name it. Go ahead.
For sure. There are tons of times where there will be actual men in your comments saying disagreeing, and you call them simps.
When I say simps, it typically means out of order. So typically when I say that, I'm referring to a pattern of behavior where they're putting women on a pedestal. That's typically what I'm describing.
But you'll say that about specific men.
No, Pearl, she caught you. Here you are telling the men in your audience they're simps. Who are you to tell a man how to talk to his woman? Bruh. The red pill has to be one of the most demonic forces. One of the most demonic forces I've ever seen. Truly. Truthfully. I genuinely don't know, like, what is going on here. This is sad. Lauren Chen, you folded. You should have stood and fought. They sat there and said emotional abuse isn't real and that it's not grounds for leaving a marriage, and you agreed. You should have, like, bro, really, bro? And then you basically, like, I could tell you didn't really believe that, because seconds later you say, well, there is unacceptable behavior in a relationship. Yes, emotional abuse. There you go. Now tell Pearl to her face that emotional abuse is wrong. And then for Pearl to sit there and say, who are you to tell a man what to do in his home? Are you crazy? Imagine if we applied that to every household in America. Imagine how much abuse would just fly. Just because the woman's an adult doesn't mean you can just do whatever you want to her. Like, just because a woman is your wife does not mean you can just do whatever you want. This is disgusting. This is insane. This red pill shit has gone too far. Fellas, I know the fellas that watch me, y'all are real ninjas. I don't gotta explain this to y'all. It goes to show how desperate these men are to be wanted, but to have a woman. They're so desperate for a woman, instead of saying, you know what, I'm going to stop being emotionally and psychologically and maybe even physically abusive. No, women should be told to accept whatever bullshit I bring to the table. 1-2 combos like Floyd, she's got to accept that. Verbal disrespect, she's got to accept that. Because if she wasn't forced to be with you, she wouldn't be with you. Fellas, focus on being an attractive, honorable man. The end. Like, focus on being attractive, honorable, likable. The end. Nothing else to talk about. The fact that we're having this conversation, the fact that this is taking place is crazy. And the fact that Lauren Chen is not fighting back is crazy. Women in the red pill space, please, in conservative spaces, please draw a line. The people that categorize conservatives as abusive and blah, 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 y'all right now are fitting into that. Fight back. This is crazy. Emotional abuse ain't real. What? In Jesus' name, I do not associate with this, bro. Let me know what y'all think in the comment section below. Like, conservatives, bro, y'all going crazy. Like, what's happening to y'all? It's crazy. Let me know what y'all think in the comment section below. Like, comment, subscribe. I'm out.